So it's had its time to rest around about 5 minutes, just so it stops the contraction of our product when we cut it. And we need to now prepare for both. We're going to get croissants out of the bottom part and then pain au chocolat out of the top. But if you notice that I've got my pastry hanging over the edge of the bench. In my world, everything is based off measurements, and you can see with pastry, it's a natural product and it doesn't have a straight line. But if we use the bench as a straight line, we can then measure correctly for each product. So we'll just cut off that edge. The other reason I cut off the edge is that is the rounded edge. That won't puff in the oven because all of my laminations go around the corners, around the bend. So we get rid of that, and that becomes our scrap that we use for our next dough. So it's now ready to make croissant and pain au chocolat. Depending on what one we're making, I normally have my croissant around about 30 centimetres long. I like to hand cut my croissants. I believe it gives me a better product. I get crisper edges. If we use the cutters, it does have a tendency to crimp or crush my edges. So I hand cut all of my product. So 30 centimetres, and then the top part will turn into our pain au chocolat, which will go 14 centimetres by 8 centimetres. And we now need to place the chocolate inside it. So there are many ways of doing it. This is just the way that I do it. Evenly spaced, allowing for enough expansion to almost 3 times their size from what they are now. We're going to place them in a prover. Really important, we don't want to prove this over 32 degrees. Butter melts at 32 degrees, so we never prove anything with butter in it over 32 degrees. So somewhere between 28 and 32 degrees as a maximum is what you want to prove these at, with around about 70 to 75% relative humidity, so a slightly damp environment. This stops skin from forming on the outside. I've squared my ends off. I've got 30 centimetres. I now go through and mark 10 centimetres wide along the bottom. Up the top, I come in half of whatever I've done at the bottom measurement. So I did 10, so I come in 5 centimetres, and then from that 5 centimetre mark, I then measure 10 centimetres. That gives me a centre point for the triangle. I then cut my triangles. So we've got our 30 centimetre by 10 centimetre triangles. We then just need to do a little cut at the base of each croissant, around about 2 centimetres. This helps us stretch the croissant a little bit when we come to roll it. Okay, and now they're ready to roll. So how I roll a croissant, try to imagine where they come from. They come from Paris or France, and the most iconic image in France is the Eiffel Tower. So I make my product look like the Eiffel Tower. I stretch it. I sacrifice the laminations on the very tip, and I then roll from the base up, making sure that it's centered. And by squashing it on the bench, your tip will always end at the bottom of your product. So do that again. So down, stretch out about a quarter of its length again, squash, roll, keeping that all centered. Ready to go into the provers. We normally do somewhere between 2.5 to 3 hours at no higher than 32 degrees.